What happens when a single moment of fury unravels a life built on entitlement? In the sleepy town of Willow Creek, where the scent of blooming flowers lingered in the air and neighbors greeted each other with warm smiles, a storm was brewing, one that would expose the raw edges of human nature and leave scars no one could have foreseen. It was a crisp spring morning, the kind where the sun painted golden streaks across the town square. The annual Karen Flower Festival, named for the vibrant wildflowers that blanketed the hills, was in full swing. Stalls lined the cobblestone paths, brimming with petals in every shade of crimson, violet, and gold. Children darted through the crowd, clutching balloons, while vendors called out, their voices mingling with the hum of laughter. At the heart of it all stood a small stage, where the mayor was set to announce the winner of the festival's coveted Flower Crown Award, a prize for the most breathtaking floral arrangement. Among the crowd was Karen Whitaker, a woman whose sharp tongue and sharper glares were as infamous as her perfectly manicured nails. Karen, in her mid-40s, wore a designer sundress that screamed wealth and a scowl that screamed trouble. She had entered her arrangement a towering display of rare orchids and Karen blossoms convinced it was unbeatable. Her confidence wasn't just bold. It was a force, a tidal wave that swept aside anyone who dared question her. Beside her, unnoticed by her haughty gaze, was my grandfather, Harold. At 82, he was a quiet man, his wheelchair a constant companion after a stroke left his legs unreliable. His eyes, though, sparkled with life, especially today, as he clutched a small bouquet of Karen flowers he'd grown himself. He wasn't competing. He just wanted to share his blooms with the community, a gesture of love from a man who'd seen too many winters to care about glory. As the mayor stepped onto the stage, the crowd hushed. Karen stood taller, her chin lifted, already imagining the crown on her head. But when the mayor called out, "First place goes to Lilan Gwyn for her stunning Karen and Lavender Fusion," the air around Karen seemed to ignite. Lila, a soft-spoken teenager who worked at the local nursery, blushed as she accepted the crown, her hands trembling with pride. Karen's face twisted into a mask of rage. "This is absurd," she shrieked, her voice slicing through the murmurs. "A child? Over my arrangement? This is rigged." She stormed toward the stage, shoving past families and vendors. The crowd parted, stunned, as she pointed a manicured finger at Lila. "You don't deserve that crown. You probably stole those flowers." Lila's smile faltered, her eyes wide with shock. The mayor tried to intervene, but Karen's tirade only grew louder. That's when it happened. Her wild gestures sent her elbow crashing into Grandpa's wheelchair. The impact was sudden, brutal. The chair tipped, and Grandpa hit the ground with a sickening thud, his bouquet scattering across the cobblestones like fallen stars. Gasps erupted. I lunged forward from where I stood, my heart pounding. "Grandpa!" I cried, kneeling beside him. His face was pale, his hands trembling as he tried to sit up. The crowd closed in, some shouting, others rushing to help. But Karen? She didn't stop. She spun on her heel, muttering, "He shouldn't have been in my way," and marched off, her heels clicking defiantly. I cradled Grandpa's head, my blood boiling. "You're okay?" I whispered, though fear gnawed at me. A kind stranger, a woman named Marla with gray streaks in her hair and a nurse's calm, knelt beside us. "I've got him," she said softly, checking his pulse. "He's shaken, but he'll be all right." Her steady hands and gentle voice were a lifeline in the chaos, and I felt a surge of gratitude for this unexpected ally. As paramedics arrived to tend to Grandpa, I scanned the crowd for Karen. She was at her stall, rearranging her flowers as if nothing had happened. The audacity of it burned in my chest. I wanted to confront her, to scream, but something stopped me. A memory of my uncle's voice, calm but firm. "Justice isn't loud, Sophie. It's steady." Uncle Ray wasn't just family. He was Willow Creek's police chief. Karen didn't know that. No one in the crowd did. To them, I was just Sophie, the quiet girl who helped at Grandpa's garden shop. But Uncle Ray had taught me to stand tall, to protect what mattered. And right now, what mattered was making sure Karen faced the consequences of her actions. I slipped away, pulling out my phone to call Uncle Ray. "Sophie, what's wrong?" His voice was warm but alert, sensing the tremor in mine. I told him everything: Karen's outburst, the wheelchair, Grandpa's fall. His silence on the other end was heavy, deliberate. "I'm on my way," he said finally. "Stay with your grandpa." By the time Uncle Ray arrived, the festival had resumed its rhythm, though whispers of the incident lingered. Karen was still at her stall, now arguing with a vendor over a spilled vase. Ray, in his crisp uniform, approached her with a calm that belied the storm in his eyes. "Ms. Whitaker," he said, his voice low but commanding, "we need to talk about what happened with Harold Grayson." Karen's eyes narrowed. "Who? Oh, the old man? He was in my way. This is a festival, not a nursing home." Her words dripped with disdain, and the crowd around her grew quiet, their faces a mix of shock and disgust. Ray didn't flinch. "You knocked over an elderly man's wheelchair in a fit of rage. That's assault, Ms. Whitaker. And I'm the police chief." The color drained from Karen's face. For the first time, her confidence cracked, replaced by a flicker of fear. She stammered, "Two didn't mean to. It was an accident." But the crowd wasn't buying it. Marla, the nurse who'd helped Grandpa, stepped forward. "I saw it," she said, her voice steady. She didn't even look back. She just kept yelling. Marla's unexpected testimony hit like a thunderclap, shifting the narrative. She wasn't just a bystander. She was a witness, her quiet strength amplifying the truth. Karen was led away in handcuffs, her protests fading into the hum of the festival. But the story didn't end there. Grandpa was taken to the hospital for observation, and though he was bruised, his spirit remained unbroken. "Flowers still bloom after a storm, Sophie," he said, squeezing my hand. His words were a balm, but they couldn't erase the ache in my heart. Days later, I learned more about Karen. She wasn't just a woman with a temper. She was drowning in debt, her lavish lifestyle a facade. The Flower Crown Award was her ticket to validation, a way to prove she was more than her crumbling world. Her rage wasn't just about Lila's win, it was about everything she'd lost. For a moment, I pitied her, but pity didn't undo the harm. The festival continued, and Lila's arrangement became a symbol of resilience. The town rallied around her, and Grandpa's scattered bouquet was gathered by children, who wove the flowers into crowns for everyone. It was beautiful, but it wasn't enough to heal the wound. Weeks later, Karen faced charges of assault and public disturbance. She pleaded guilty, her lawyer citing emotional distress. The judge was unmoved. She was sentenced to community service, tending the town's Karen flower gardens under Lila's supervision. The irony was bitter. The woman who'd craved glory now knelt in the dirt, her hands stained with soil instead of pride. But the real twist came quietly, almost unnoticed. Marla, the nurse, visited Grandpa at home. She brought a small pot of Karen flowers, their petals vibrant against the dusk. "I grew these," she said, her eyes soft. "Harold reminds me of my father. I couldn't stand by and do nothing." Her words carried a weight I hadn't expected, a reminder that kindness could emerge from chaos, unassuming but profound. Yet the ending wasn't sweet. Grandpa's bruises faded, but his trust in the world dimmed. He stopped attending festivals, his wheelchair now a reminder of vulnerability. Karen's punishment felt hollow, ascendancy, leaving a town forever changed. The Karen flowers still bloomed, but their beauty was tainted by the memory of that day when rage toppled more than a wheelchair. Toppled trust, community, and the illusion of invincibility. Yendi.